Hello, everyone. Today we will continue with poetry, and we are going to cover two poems. One is I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson, and the other is a love poem that is Roman numeral 88 from Absolute Solitude by Dulce Maria Loynaz. I'm going to have two focuses for these poems. For I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died, I am going to have a political focus. And for Dulce Maria Loynaz's poem, Roman numeral 88, I am going to have a reader response focus. Okay, let's get right to it. I am going to read I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset, when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was there, interposed, a fly, with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me. And then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. Okay, many of you have heard of Emily Dickinson as one of the great American poets. And this poem, I believe, does justice to her as being a great poet. Many of you, after having read this poem and having listened to me recite it, may still be thinking, though, what the heck is she talking about? Okay. And I understand. Now, one way to look at this poem is to look at, and to try to understand the poem, is to look at the power tensions that are happening within the poem. And so that is what I am going to do, and hopefully that will help us understand this poem in more depth. All right? So the first thing, I'm going to give you a focus. Now, I have read it, okay? And you have listened to it now, right? And the title, I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died, the I in the poem seems to be a woman. It seems to be a woman. Now, I say that with this as evidence. One, I have Emily Dickinson as a woman. However, that does not mean that she could not have imagined another gender as an I. Correct? However, also the second stanza says that the speaker, and I am going to, for argument's sake, say that it's a woman, assume that it's a woman, because the speaker is waiting for a king to be witnessed in the room, right? And the king is a very powerful figure in the poem, and I think it has been a powerful figure in the speaker's life. And that king does not turn out to be a king, but something else. It turns out to be a fly, right? And my analysis, my conclusion that this speaker is a woman is based on the disappointment that the speaker has for the king not having come. Okay, so that is my rationale here, and that is how I am going to analyze this poem. Even though I myself am not a woman, I am going to the best of my ability, put myself in that position of being a woman in this poem. Okay, and so I'm going to try as best as possible to appreciate what is happening. All right, let's look at the first stanza. All right, I heard a fly buzz when I died. All right, now I am a woman and I am dying. I died. So this is actually past tense, right? So what did I get when I died? When I died, what did I hear when I died? Right? I heard a fly buzz. Right? That may not make sense, but I think it's going to make much more sense later, right? And the people in the room were very still. So they had respect. They had respect in the room, right? Okay? And they were also perhaps afraid because they were all standing still in the room and they were waiting for this big thing to happen, right? The storm was supposed to happen, all right? Now the second stanza. Their eyes around had wrung them dry. Breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room, right? So now the people in the room, their eyes had been wrung dry, right? So that means that they had cried. They had cried a lot. Now this makes me believe that this woman has been a good woman, a beautiful woman, a kind, nice, normal woman, a giving woman, a woman who will always give you everything that she can. And this woman now is dying, and there's a lot of sadness in the room. And at that last onset, what everybody in the room is getting ready because she's about to die, and they're waiting for the king to be witnessed in the room. And that king, I believe it's capitalized, so it is important. It's not just any king. What kind of king is supposed to come at the moment of death? The King of Kings, God. God is supposed to come into, if a person has been a very good person, a very beautiful person, right? A kind, God-fearing person, then the king will come into the room and save the princess, right? And so this is very important because this woman dying, and everyone in the room expects the king to come and save the damsel in distress, right? And what is the power that is going on? The politics of the poem is that here is a woman who has been the ideal, beautiful woman. She deserves the king to come and save her from death, right? And in the third stanza, it states, I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, right? So here we have a description of the woman as a very responsible person, right? So she willed her keepsakes, signed away what portion of her be assignable. So she was a very giving person. She was a very responsible person. Here, you can have my diary, you can have my locket, you can have my dresser, etc. What a nice, beautiful, kind woman. And then at the moment of death, what happens? What was there? It was a fly. A fly came. And how did it act? Take a look at the last stanza. The fly with blue, uncertain stumbling buzz, right? So here we have not the king who is always got the perfect solutions, who always saves the day, right? The king that represents a patriarchal system, right? We don't get that. She does not get that at the end of her good, beautiful, tame life. What does she get? She gets uncertainty. She gets chaos, right? She gets a fly instead of God, right? And at this end, instead of being saved, it seems that she, the speaker, has learned that it was all a lie. The king was a lie. Everything that she had been taught about being a good, nice girl was a lie. That she would get her reward when she died. She didn't get a reward. She got a fly, right? And then what happens here? Does she go to heaven, right? Is she rewarded with eternal life? The last two lines, the windows failed, and then I could not see to see, right? Instead of any reward from heaven, she is just plain dead, right? And my focus is a political approach for this poem. And so I'm not going to give you any kind of working thesis. I did that with the previous lecture, but I will say that this poem is really critiquing the man-made power system, right? And the myths and stories and lies that women have had to obey for millennia. And it's a very revolutionary poem, especially considering that this is written in the 19th century. Here, Emily Dickinson is saying that, is she saying, and I want to give you all this as a question, is she saying that women, wake up, rise up, figure it out? It has all been a lie. It is a lie, and it's better not to work for what is going to happen after life, because after life, you're just going to be dead. But instead, women, rise up and live your life for now. Live your life in order to live life on your own terms, instead of being dictated to by what men believe. A very powerful poem by Emily Dickinson. We are now going to move into a reader response approach. All right. And I just want to review a little bit about the reader response approach before I read the poem. In a reader response, I am questioning the text. I am trying to come to some kind of understanding about the text, and then I am going to give you a logical conclusion about what I have gained from reading and studying the poem. Now, does this mean that everything I say is correct? No, it does not. Now, you all have studied Paulo Freire's theory about the ideal education. Remember, he believed that in order to have an ideal education, you should have a constant dialectical between subjective and objective reality, right? So your personal opinion, it does matter, but also you must balance that out with objective reality. So just let's understand this, right? Remember, Paulo Freire does not believe pure subjectivity. Like only your own personal response will lead to an ideal type of education. And in this case, an ideal reading, right? I am gonna have to balance out my subjective feelings with objective analysis of the poem. All right, without further ado, let's get to Roman numeral 88 by Dulce Maria Loynaz. I need you to lull this sick heart to sleep, and this soul that never knew how to find you, and this wounded flesh that still yearns for you. You must give me serenity, and you yourself must do it, for nobody else can. I need you to flow over me like water, to quench me, flood me, and leave me at rest. Just once, to be at rest in this world. I have a great desire to sleep, even if it's under a plot of earth, but only if the earth above me doesn't resemble what I loved so hopelessly while I was alive. Only if I stop finding in the earth this gasping I call a life. I fear nothing so much as ceaselessly being myself. I'm afraid of knowing myself without having known you. I feel so weary, as if I wrestled with the sea, as if the waves pummeled my body and hurled it against the rocks. And then I, in a sudden fury, grabbed it and tucked it under my arm. My bones ache. The very blouse on my back aches. And my solitude aches too. Ever since you let me press my mouth to it and blow it into flame. I must admit that I'll be very subjective at the start. I'm going to get right to the reader response. I was entranced by this poem. So that is my first response. My first reader response is, I am entranced. I am like in a daze after reading this poem. I am like, I feel like I'm been in some kind of magic show with this poem. This poem has really like grabbed me, right? And I feel her. I may not understand everything that I'm feeling right now, but I feel that this is about love. This is about pain. This is about trying to find out about yourself, right? And so I'm going into my analysis with a sense of being entranced, enchanted by the magic of these words, but also at the same time being confused. So I'm enchanted and confused at the same time. So this is what I want to do with my reader response. By the end, am I still enchanted? By the end, am I still confused? What has happened to my enchantment? Have I, found this to be humorous? Am I disappointed? Am I disgusted? What is going to happen with me and my response as I journey through these words, okay? That is the goal of the reader response. My journey is important, Okay? The words could not exist without me. All right? However, I must also carry an objective analysis. So let me just very briefly pause with regards to a reader response and give you this example. Can I, me, Ben Boxiera, can I say that, this poem was written by an outer space alien, and this is not about love. This is about animals on Mars. Okay, now that sounds pretty far out, but let me ask you all, and I want you to think about this. Can I subjectively feel like that? Can I subjectively believe that? Yes, I can. Because if I'm only following my subjective opinion, I can believe that this poem is written by an outer space alien about animals on Mars, okay? Now note here, all right? I can believe that all day for the rest of my life if I would like. However, I'm not going to connect to objective reality. So I must, if you're doing a reader response, you have to balance yourself out between your own subjective perspective and objective reality. Okay, so please keep that in mind, because I think many of you are gonna wanna do a reader response. All right, let me get right to this, all right? So I said earlier that I am interested, or I was responding to being enchanted and confused, all right? So the first line, I need you to lull this sick heart to sleep, this soul that never knew how to find you. I feel a lot of vulnerability here, right? So here is this person admitting that she hasn't been able to find her significant other, even though she gave, let's say for argument's sake, she gave him her soul. Okay, all right. And now she's in a state of real despair, right? Her sick heart can't go to sleep. She needs her significant other. She needs her lover, okay? And so that's the word that I'm going to use. She needs her lover to lull that sick heart to sleep. She can't do it on her own. So, this is really powerful for me because it speaks to the limitations that we have within our own power. We like to feel, for example, we're independent, we're strong, right? We have freedom. But here in this poem, right, I see that the speaker, she's saying, you know what? Freedom is not all that great, man. Freedom hurts, right? I can't do it all on my own. I need another. I need a lover to really be me, right? And so this is extremely attractive to me. Am I still enchanted? Yes. And I've gone from enchantment now to real sympathy. So I'm sympathizing, right? So I've gone from empathy to sympathy. I've gone from enchantment to sympathy, right? Okay, and now I am gonna go into another part of the poem. It says, you must give me serenity, for nobody else can, right? It is only you, my beloved, who can give me serenity, right? Who can give me peace, right? What kind of peace? She says, I need you to flow over me like water to quench me, flood me and leave me at rest. Ooh, such gorgeous imagery here, right? But notice, right? So water, in this sense, it has almost like a baptismal effect, right? People get baptized with water, right? And so this other, her lover, can give her new life like water, right? We need water to live, right? To quench me. But at the same time, I needed this water I need in order to flood me, right? So I don't just want a little sip of water. I want to be quenched, but at the same time, I want to be flooded with this water, right? With you. I want to be flooded with you because I found in you the totality, the of water, right? That you can give me peace in a bath, you can quench my thirst, and you can also flood me, which is, if you're flooded, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And I think the next lines help us understand the danger here, right? Because now the speaker says, I have a great desire to sleep, even if it's under a plot of earth, but only if the earth above me doesn't resemble what I love so hopelessly, right? So here she has a desire to sleep, even if it's under a plot of earth. And I think many of us can think of this as she's wishing she could die, right? I have a desire to sleep. I wish I could just die, right? But I don't want to die because, what's going to happen after I die? If after I die, I keep loving you hopelessly, then, it does no good for me to die. That's not a good death. The only reason I want to die is to have some sort of peace. If this yearning for the lover can actually stop, right? Because I'm gasping for life right now, right? And so, she wants death only if it can erase all of her memories, right? Of her lover, right? And so I go from, I want to trace back my reader response. I've gone now from enchantment, and then I started sympathizing with her. But then I gotta say, and this is my response to this right now at this moment, right? I feel that she's pretty extreme, right? And I feel a little bit of fear at this moment. Why? Because, wow, she loves so much that she wants to die. And I'm afraid for her. And maybe I'm afraid for myself too, because love is so powerful and we get these feelings, right? Okay. Now, the next stanza. I fear nothing so much as ceaselessly being myself. I'm afraid of knowing myself without having known you. For me, this is one of the most powerful lines of the entire poem. I fear nothing so much as ceaselessly being myself. So notice here, before she met the other, right, her lover, she had been herself. But her lover taught her and gave her so much and opened up her eyes so much that she learned about what it meant to be part of someone else's life. She learned, for example, what it meant to be a couple, right? To not have to depend just on herself, to not be independent, right? That there is a torture in independence, right? And now, right? So I can imagine before she fell in love, before she knew the love of her life, right? Who she's now suffering for, right? Her life was pretty simple. her life was, pretty easy. It had its stumbles, but she did not think about dying, right? She did not think of, being in this tremendous highlighted life and pain as well, right? And now that her lover is gone, she's afraid because, what does it mean to be me? What does it mean to be an I after you have experienced love, right? Right? And that it takes two to complete love. You can't make love up on your own, man. You can't. It's not enough love for you to simply love yourself, right? And now she's afraid. She's like, wow, now I have to go back to being myself. But you know what? I realize that in order to be fulfilled, I need another. And here, if we're talking about a reader response, I have gained a real respect here, right? This takes courage to realize that we can't do it all on our own. That being yourself is a very hard, impossible task, right? Especially after you've experienced the sublime. And the sublime, what is the sublime? You can read more about that on your own, but the sublime is total awe. Being in life and being outside of life. We've all experienced it in one way or another. For example, some of us have experienced looking at the sunrise or listening to, a certain song or making love or, eating your favorite dish, man. I think can put you in the sublime, right? And so she has experienced that sublime in love, and now she's afraid of knowing herself after having known love, because it's not going to be that simple. Life will simply not be that simple anymore after love. Let's get to the end of the poem. My bones ache, the very blouse on my back aches, and my solitude aches too. Ever since you let me press my mouth to it and blow it into flame, right? So she's saying that the lover helps her escape herself. Wow, how beautiful, right? Do we ever really want to know ourselves, right? And this is making me really question. According to the speaker here, she's saying no. You know what? We love it when someone helps us escape out of ourselves, right? And her lover helped her do this, right? And now, what does she get out of this? She says, everything aches, even her own solitude. Even being alone aches. Because what happened, and note the last lines, she, because of him, and because of them not being together anymore, you let me press my mouth to my solitude and blow it into flame. My solitude, before I knew you, lover, my solitude was peace. My solitude was simple. After you, my solitude is a flame. My solitude is passion, but it's also such torture, right? And we think of flame, I think many of us might think of hell. hell. So my solitude is now a hell. But now notice here, flame also keeps us alive. It is a light. It is a light. It is a new consciousness. My solitude is a new scary consciousness. Now, at the end, my own response here, right? And I want you to follow my own reader response. This does not have to be your reader response. I went from enchantment to sympathy to fear to respect. And now at the end, I must say my response is awe. AWE. I am in awe of the genius of the speaker. I am in awe of the honesty of this speaker to be able to look inside of herself and admit her own flaws and fears, and also appreciate the majesty of love. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.